Warning, this video is not targeted to kids and may be inappropriate to younger audiences. Your discretion is advised.
Oh boy, my throat. Ah, man, pray for my throat indeed. Hello, dudes and dudettes. It's your favorite Reject Gamer Mix of 17 here. And yes, we are now going to do the Arkham City stories. Now, the order that I'm going to be going over them is basically the same order that I kind of did with the character bios. That was just to keep going across the whole thing for about an hour. And then of course I'll have a part 2 to read the rest. So without further ado, let's begin reading and let's see how far I can get. Alright, beginning, we start with Aaron Cash. Officer Cash, which we of course is the best officer in the whole game, other than of course Commissioner Gordon. But I've already said the whole reason why beforehand. Anywho, let us begin. Oh, excuse me. Aaron Cash recalled the nights back at Arkham Asylum when, watching from a security monitor, he saw Quincy Sharp scrawl an elaborate message on the floor of the cell block control room using a rusty nail and blood from his fingertips before forcing his way out of the cell, only to disappear into the chaos. He didn't know where Sharp had gone, but he was sure that there was something seriously wrong with the future mayor of Gotham City. With no other career options available and a nagging feeling that he had seen Hugo Strange before, he reluctantly accepted a job of running a small medical team charged with providing assistance to any resident in Arkham City who needed it. So that basically explains why Aaron Cash was in Arkham City in the first place. Due to him being a very, very good brother. Next up, we got the... Oh, dear God. Alright. I'm going to try to pronounce this name as best as I can. I know for whoever watches this, it's going to end up absolutely hating me if I mispronounce it. The Abramovic twins. Moviki? Oh, shoot. You know what? I'm gonna give myself like right here, right now. I'm gonna give myself a few seconds for me to do some future editing, just for me to actually say it properly. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, and I think I gave myself a little bit too much time. Anywho, and I just realized, all right, okay, whatever. Double A, there we go. Double A was a respected man of a small Siberian, I always forget how to pronounce that properly, village where he lived with his pregnant wife. When word reached Double A that his wife was in labor, he rushed home, excited to be by her side, but was only met by the midwife. His wife had not survived the birth. Complications due to the special nature of his newborn sons were to blame. Pushing into the room, he found his twin sons joined at the shoulder, screaming for their mother. He took the twins, left town, crying. He stood on the bridge over the freezing cold river and contemplated throwing them to their deaths, but could not do it. Leaving his sons outside the tents for a traveling freak show, Double A returned home to his village a broken man. Holy crap, this is sad. This is really sad. Okay. The Joker heard tales of the conjoined A twins, there we go, now widely known as Hammer and Sickle, and their reputation of brutality, and he wanted them for himself, sending Harley on a desperate mission to retrieve them. She passed on the message to the circus owner that her puddin' would pay big for the twins. Of course, the owner refused to sell his headlining act. He promptly vanished, only to be found 3 months later with a new smile carved to his face. Well, that explains what happened there. Arkham Asylum. Arkham Island sold. Once the decision to create Arkham City has been approved, Mayor Sharp ordered the Arkham Island to be put for sale. In a press conference, he claimed this is a fantastic revenue opportunity for Gotham City. Although a number of prominent Gotham companies entered bids for the island, and winning bid came to a previously unknown security company named Tiger. Within weeks of the sale, Tiger was also awarded the contract to police Arkham City, and instantly began using the island to launch its fleet of helicopter gunships to patrol the new prison facility. Well, that explains that. Arkham City Medical Team. Cash chose the abandoned church building near the Solomon Wayne Courthouse to state his medical team at, knowing that Strange was only providing the minimal amounts of medical assistance to placate those campaigning against Arkham City. Cash was forced to beg for equipment and additional medical supplies. The first donations came from Bruce Wayne himself, who supplied a series of security shutters to keep the people within the building safe, along with cutting-edge body armor and supplies. Only hearing about Wayne's donations, Strange was furious and locked down all supply routes between the medical team and the outside world. Hugo Strange's storage vault. On the perimeter wall of Arkham City is a Tiger confiscated goods vault. This high security facility houses all of the items confiscated from criminals upon their admittance to the prison. A special vault is used to protect the equipment and ill-gotten gains from the various super criminals, and it is guarded 24/7 by a squad of Tiger guards. Upon her arrest, Hugo Strange placed all Catwoman's belongings there, and she vowed to get them back and leave Arkham City for good. Huh. Seismic disturbance. Just weeks before Arkham City was due to open for business, the streets and roads of the northwest of the facility were devastated by a series of unexplained seismic incidents. The large-scale subsidence left the street level of an entire district submerged underwater. Campaigners opposed to Hugo Strange's super prison demanded further investigation into the cause of the disturbance, arguing that this was further proof that the area was unfit under basic terrain, I guess, grounds. However, Strange voted plans, I don't know, with a inquiry on his land. He provided his own experts to demonstrate that the seismic activity was a one-off event, and maintained that the inmates had given up their rights to any decent standard of living. Wow. That's pretty messed up. Compulsory purchase, I think. Upon becoming mayor, Quincy Sharp represented Gotham City with his plan to create a super prison in the north of the city, claiming that the site was selected because it contained extreme areas of social decay and neglect. When Bruce Wayne spoke out at the consultation committee hearing, the mayor pointed out that this location was where Wayne's parents had been murdered decades ago. The council passed the motion to create Arkham City and set about issuing eminent domain seizures, I think, allowing it to purchase all the land within the site's walls. But why bring up his parents? Actually, I feel like I should go back here, just in case. Studying the Bat. Hugo Strange's obsession with Bruce Wayne and Batman was unbearable. He needed to know every small detail of how this man functioned, to understand exactly what made him tick, so that he could finally destroy him. Strange manipulated the mayor into allowing squads of Tiger officers to be deployed into Gotham City under the pretense of aiding the police. However, unknown to the people of Gotham, the Tiger Guards only had one target: the Batman. Strange knew his men would initially fail, but he studied every defeat meticulously, analyzing the techniques and strategies of his opponents. It would only be a matter of time before he had the necessary data to defeat the Bat. Open for business. Mayor Quincy Sharp looked proud as he addressed Gotham on the night that Arkham City officially opened for business. As he introduced Hugo Strange to the mass of journalists, he felt that the hard work and sacrifices had been worth it. He could hardly believe that he had achieved so much in 18 months since the events of Arkham Island. As the campaign bottle smashed against the wall, Strange whispered to him that he would soon have Catwoman and Two-Face arrested and brought to his prison. Quincy smiled. With Arkham City's construction complete, he was guaranteed the approval of the city, and with all the supervillains in his custody, their next target would be Batman, the person he blamed for everything. That's very different compared to before. Bane. After being hit by the Batmobile and knocked into the dark waters surrounding Arkham Island, Bane swam to shore but was quickly recaptured and taken to the asylum, back to the asylum. Weakened by his injuries and the experiments performed upon him by the Dr. Young, he patiently waited, plotting his revenge, forced into keeping a low profile. As he recovered, Bane searched Arkham City for a suitable location to act as a hideout, and found that what he needed in the form of the Crank Toys building. There, surrounded by toys, he waited, recuperating until the moment was right to make his move. Titan on the streets. Having no love for his fellow prisoners in Arkham City, Bane set up the presided over an underground fighting contest where the inmates fought in vain for a privilege of trying to take him down. There we go. Word of the fight spread throughout Arkham, and the Joker sent Bane a little surprise. As Bane moved in for the kill, the Joker's henchman triggered a Titan injection that ripped through his body, transforming him into a monstrous Titan. Barely surviving the fight, Bane had a new problem. Somehow Titan had found its way into Arkham City, and was up to him to stop it from falling into the wrong hands. Yeah, more like self-screed. Black Mask. Roman Sionis, yes, aka Black Mask, is the first and only inmate to have escaped from Arkham City. Using explosives stolen from the Penguin, he waited until the Tiger's shift changed, blasted his way through the containment wall, and went on the run in Gotham City. Furious, Hugo Strange ordered his Tiger operatives into the streets to focus all their attention on finding Black Mask, who was finally recaptured after a violent siege at the meat packing plants he owned. Promising that no one else would ever escape again, Strange fitted a series of automatic machine guns to the walls of Arkham City, designed to kill anyone else who dared try. That explains a lot. Close Arkham City. There we go. As Hugo Strange was revealed to the public face of Arkham City, Batman attempted to uncover any information he could about the history of this mysterious figure. Convinced that nothing in Arkham City was what it seemed to be, Batman dug deeper and deeper, but came up blank. It was as if all the evidence Strange had been wiped clean. One thing was certain, however, Strange could not have done this alone. Batman was determined to ensure that the site of his parents' death would not become a monument to Gotham's failure, and dedicated himself to shutting down Arkham City. Calendar Man. Julian Day, aka Calendar Man, had been locked in his cell in Arkham Asylum for a full year when he was moved to Arkham City. Unable to celebrate the passing holidays in his own inimitable style, he could do nothing more than imagine what he would have done if he were free. In Arkham City, he quickly found the Solomon Wayne courthouse and claimed it as his own. Anyone who dared come in was overpowered and taken into a cell where they remained until the next holiday, when Day would kill them. It was all going well until Two-Face arrived with a small army and took the courthouse for himself, locking Day in a cell. Dang. And he's been alive, and I will show you next year, sadly. That is so weird to say. Clayface. Basil Carlo, aka Clayface, used his ability to mimic the exact appearance of anyone to impersonate Quincy Sharp and escape from Arkham Asylum. On the run in Gotham City, Clayface has been forced to constantly change his appearance in order to stay one step ahead of Hugo Strange and his guards. His current whereabouts are unknown. Ha! Not unless I completed the game. The Falconian family. The Falconians the Falcons, I think they're pronounced Falconian, are America's oldest surviving crime family. Generation after generation has ruled the underworld with iron fists, preferring to stay away from more colorful supervillain activities. They maintain legitimate business interests, including garbage collection and shipping companies. The current head of the family, Carmen, the Roman Falconian, is feared by all until recently had the city in his pocket, but something has changed. Quincy Sharp, the newly elected mayor, and a man who should be afraid of him, was not. There we go. Carmen's, I think that's how you pronounce it, attempts to intimidate Sharp had resulted in his henchman mysteriously disappearing, and Sharp had struck back with the Tiger Guards, closing down Falconian's operations all over the city. A family business. As Hugo Strange's Tiger Guards grip on the city tightened, a Falconian family meeting was called. The choice was simple: stay in Gotham and face arrest and imprisonment in Arkham City, or leave. The youngest member of the family argued that the Falconians run from no one, but in the end, it was Roman's decision. The next day, the entire family packed and left Gotham, heading to the relative safety of Bloodhaven. Dang. A sick plan. 1 out of 3. Wow. After Batman stopped him from escaping Arkham Asylum, the Joker sat alone in his padded cell knowing something was wrong. The first sign was an unusual lump on his shoulder. He felt tainted. Weeks went by, and 10 more unusual lumps appeared. The Titan had done something to him, something bad, something that wasn't funny at all. A sick plan. 2 out of 3. The Joker was dying. He knew it, and soon so would anyone who saw him. The last thing he needed was to appear weak before his rivals. One day at lunch, the Joker took a spoon and dug out another inmate's eyes, knowing that this would get him solitary confinement. He could keep out of sight, at least until his transfer to Arkham City. The Joker needed an escape plan, and on the night of his transfer, Harley Quinn provided one. Disguised as an Arkham guard, he overpowered the Joker's escort and stole her pudding away to a boat waiting on the island's quarryside. I think. A sick plan. 3 out of 3. As the boat carried a twisted pair of sped off towards Gotham, it was joined by a second. The boat carrying the twisted pair sped off towards Gotham, it was joined by a second. A secret alarm placed by Batman had alerted him to the Joker's escape, and here he was in the Batboat pursuing the fugitives. They ignored his orders to stop, so Batman opened fire. As Harley Quinn steered the boat to shore, missiles ripped the hull to pieces. They swarmed, and the weakened Joker was pulled through the water by the distraught Harley, desperate to save her pudding. She pulled the Joker out of the water to safety, somehow avoiding Batman's searchlight, and she and the Joker sat there gasping for air when suddenly realized that they were where they were, Arkham City. Well, that explains a lot, and that explains the boat that's actually not on the map that you can see. Strange goes on. Yeah, that sounds about right. Working at Arkham Asylum, Professor Hugo Strange used a series of complicated psychological profiling techniques to identify the man behind Batman's mask as Bruce Wayne. Planning to become both rich and famous, he plotted to sell a secret of Batman's identity to the highest bidder. Word spread throughout the criminal underground that Batman's greatest secret was for sale, but before anyone could act on it, Hugo Strange vanished. More like he died. Hugo Strange's experiments. Now in charge of Arkham City, Strange continues his radical experiments into the workings of the human mind. During processing, Hugo Strange, I'm just going to say, personally selects inmates that fit his criteria and has them taken away into his inmate behavioral analyst unit. Dang, that's a mouthful. No one knows what happens to the missing prisoners in that room except Strange himself. Sometimes they emerge lobotomized to roam the streets, but more often they are never heard from again. Some people believe that Strange brainwashes the missing thugs and turns them into his tiger guards, whereas others believe he has a deal with the Penguin and has them to use as a target practice. Well, Gordon versus Sharp, 1 out of 2. As the plan of Arkham City became public knowledge, Commissioner Gordon in inside wait incen something at not having been consulted over Mayor Sharp's decision attempting to block construction with a court order. He failed. The commissioner called on Batman and explained that he suspected corruption at the highest level of Sharp's administration. Gordon vs. Sharp, 2 out of 2. After losing his case against Mayor Sharp, Gordon was summoned to City Hall. Sharp tried to reason with Gordon, explaining that Arkham City would be something they could both be proud of, but Gordon held his ground. Sharp calmly stated that he understood Gordon's position and expected Gordon to quietly resign. Wow. Furious, Gordon stormed out, and he might have resigned if he hadn't been talked out of it by Batman. Batman suggested attacking Mayor Sharp and Arkham City with a public campaign headed not by Gordon, but someone with money and a profile needed to win popular support, someone like Bruce Wayne. Holding grudges, 1 out of 3. Soon after his arrival in Gotham City, the Penguin decided to make an impression on the underworld elite with a gala opening for his nightclub at the Iceberg Lounge. He included the notorious Joker, whose appearance would surely impress the crowd. When the Joker arrived, Harley Quinn on his arm and a dainty flower in his lapel, the Penguin was thrilled. He was hosting the sinister sorry of the century, until a clumsy waitress spilled a drink on the Joker. The laughing Joker aimed his flower, and an acid spray melted the girl's face. What the? And as alarmed patrons fled the scene, the cold, dark rage of the Joker crawled inside Penguin. Oh, dang, this wild-like Joker. The Joker eagerly returned to the Iceberg Lounge a few weeks later, but was insulted to find his name was not on the guest list. Willing to overlook this obvious mistake, he shot the doorman on his way in, kicked his feet up at a table, and ordered a glass of warm milk? Dang, I'm impressed. He was pleased when, alongside the milk, was a summons of the club's VIP section. Led to the back room, past a tank where Tiny the Shark circled. Oh, the Joker happily greeted the Penguin, who promptly pushed him out of a door into the street. The Penguin squawked out that the club had a new no clowns policy before slamming the door. Holding grudges, 3 out of 3. After arriving at Arkham City, the Joker and Harley Quinn were eager to explore their new stomping ground. Reflecting that years had passed since the Penguin banned Joker from the club, they sought out the blue neon lights of the Iceberg Lounge. Harley pounded the door, certain Cobblepot would let bygones be bygones. The Penguin answered, a hulking guard at his side, and immediately reminded them of his no clowns policy. He just managed to close the door before the acid of Joker's flowers shot out at his face. Oh, a killer in the sewers. In order to remove Waylon Jones, aka Killer Croc, from the sewers below Arkham Asylum, Strange ordered a squad of Tiger Guards to lure him out using body parts of deceased inmates. Although the strategy proved unsuccessful, the team was able to subdue Croc when he emerged from the sewers looking for food once the supply of bodies had run out. Dang. The Mad Hatter. 1 out of 2. Uh, dis- disgusted, I think, at the crimes Jarvis Tetch committed in the jest, I think, of the Mad Hatter, Quincy Sharp decreed that Tetch should never see the outside world again. For months, Tetch was locked in solitary confinement deep in the bowels of Arkham Asylum's maximum security wing. Locked up in the dark without his hats, his tea, and most importantly, his Alice. Tetch's mind crumbled. Professor Hugo Strange became fascinated by Tetch's case, taking particular interest in Tetch's mind control experiments. Strange manipulated security procedures, allowing him full access to Tetch behind the warden's back. The Mad Hatter, 2 out of 2. If Hugo Strange's plans were going to work, he needed a way to control Quincy Sharp. Having worked with Tetch for months, he had refined and perfected a psychoactive compound that would make anyone who ingested it more malleable and open to suggestion. The next day, Strange invited him to join him for a cup of tea at his office in the administration building. The Maroni family. There we go. The Maroni family has long been at war with their arch rivals, the Falconians, in a constant game of upmanship. Each family has been hurt. Sons and daughters have been killed. Businesses have burnt to the ground, and still it goes on. Determined to win the war once and for all, the Malconians met in their family restaurant and talked into the night. Little did they know that as they talked, they were surrounded by Carmen Falconian's men, who opened fire, killing almost everyone within. With their leadership gone, the surviving Maronis have all been incarcerated in Arkham City. And surprisingly, I have read all of this and I still have time to continue. So, Maxi Zeus, I think. Not every building in Arkham City was in disrepair, I think. I don't know. Before the mega prison was constructed. One operating building was the Gotham City Olympus nightclub, originally owned by Maxi Zeus, I think that's how you pronounce it. Although Maxi disappeared in Arkham's Asylum after one too many rounds of electroshock therapy, the club kept running in his absence, leading some to think Maxi wasn't gone far, or something like that. Hasn't gone far. Anywho, a cold start, 1 out of 2. When Hugo Strange arranged for Nora Freeze to be moved into Arkham City, her husband, Victor Freeze, aka Mr. Freeze, escaped from his refrigerated containment cell to find her. But Strange was waiting for him, and he calmly informed Victor that Nora has been transported for her own safety, and that if Victor wished to see her again, he should move quietly to his new home in Arkham City. To motivate Victor further, Strange promised him full access to laboratory facilities in the old GCPD building, now abandoned within the high security walls of Arkham City. Stocked with all the tools required to seek a cure for Nora. A cold start, 2 out of 2. Mr. Freeze stood alone in his new laboratory. Everything Strange had promised was true. Everything except for his frozen wife, Nora, who was nowhere to be seen. Furious, Freeze upgraded his suit's weapons systems, arming himself to force Strange to give him back his wife. Waiting until dark, he marched out to the GCPD, only to be ambushed by a squad of Tiger operatives with orders to take him to Professor Strange. I swear, I'm having a hard time reading now. Illegal operations. While in residence at Arkham Asylum, Hugo Strange experiments on prisoners as part of the process leading him to unlocking the workings of the mind in order to control it. In order to cover up his experiments, he arranged for these poor individuals to be lobotomized, locked in the cells, and forgotten. It was during these experiments that Strange perfected his ability to place post-thypronic suggestions, I think that's your, I don't know, in the minds of his victims, a technique he used to guarantee absolute loyalty from his hand-picked Tiger Guards. After escaping from custody, the Joker released the lunatics and allowed them to roam free across Arkham Asylum in attempt to stop Batman. I remember these guys. Those guys were the lunatics that we actually fought. The Cobblepot's feud. 1 out of 5. God dang, this is our largest story yet. I hope I have enough time to read the whole thing. At the opening of the Cobblepot Towers, Henry Cobblepot's print magnet, I think, onto hotelier, I don't know, looked at his latest hotel, determined to outclass the almost newly opened Grand Wayne Plaza. Desperate to oh dear God, my throat. Desperate to ruin his rival, Judge Solomon Wayne, Henry laughed at reports that the people of Gotham preferred the restrained splendor of the Wayne Hotel to his own locations. He swore that the Cobblepot hotels would be the premier destinations of the world. He was wrong, and it cost him both his fortune and his health. On his deathbed, Henry left the remains of his fortune to his son, Stanley Cobblepot. Stanley vowed to outdo the Wayne family and their empire, now headed by Alan Wayne. God dang. Cobblepot feud 2 out of 5. Stanley Cobblepot investigated a very public feud with the Wayne family. As the Wayne business empire extended to include hotels and other public buildings, Stanley was determined to outdo them, pouring more and more money into his fledgling, I don't know, hotel business, to the detriment of the newspaper business and his relationship with his son Oswald. As Stanley's business crumbled around him, he sent Oswald to school in England, feeling abandoned and picked on by his peers for his homely appearance. Oswald skipped class after class, preferring the company of the thieves and scoundrels he met on the streets. By the time his father's empire collapsed, Oswald had vanished. The Cobblepot's feud, 3 out of 5. When the council decided to shut down the Pinckney Natural History Museum, they sold the historical structure to the highest bidder. Located in the deteriorating part of the city, many investors passed up the opportunity, but for Oswald Cobblepot, it was exactly what he wanted. He purchased the building and established this as his base of operations, converting the attached theme restaurant, the Iceberg Lounge, to a high-profile nightclub. To the public, the Iceberg Lounge was a reputable establishment, but below the surface was a den of iniquity a to-go place for illicit and illegal wares. The adjacent museum exhibit halls were repurposed as Penguin's storage facility, housing from everything from his torture room, his weapon cache, and a gladiator pit. Illegal fights to the death occurred nightly, with the victors earning a job on Penguin's crew. Wait, gladiator pit? Where the heck was that? I don't remember this. Anywho, the Cobblepot feud, 4 out of 5. Oh boy. The Penguin's operation was run on fear and pain. One night, a guest at the Iceberg Lounge was caught cheating at poker. The Penguin tortured this man in full view of everyone. A friend of this man grabbed the bottle, smashed it onto the table, and attacked, driving the bottle hard into the Penguin's face. As the Penguin screamed, the attacker and his friend were dragged away into a private torture room. Cobblepot was examined by the finest doctors in Gotham City, but the progenists was always the same. Removing the bottle could be fatal. The Cobblepot feud, 5 out of 5. When Penguin received the eminent domain seizure of City Hall, ordering him to vacate the Iceberg Lounge, he replied with a letter telling Mayor Sharp that no one tells Oswald Cobblepot what to do. He bought his property legally, and that the city should find somewhere else to stick their prison. On the day the perimeter was due to be completed, the GCPD were dispatched with backup from Tiger Guards to forcibly reclaim the building. The Penguin ordered his men to fire at the police, killing 3 veteran officers. With the Penguin's criminal nature no longer in dispute, the Mayor Sharp ordered the walls closed, trapping the Penguin and his gang in Arkham City. Dang. Poisonous intent, 1 out of 2. Ready to turn over a new leaf, Pamela Isley rejected her poison ivy persona and opened a small flower shop in the back streets of Gotham. Surrounded by plants, she was content for a while, but society continued to mistreat her babies, and eventually she snapped. A man came to buy flowers for his wife, obviously feeling guilty for having been unfaithful. Pamela smiled and handed over an elaborate bouquet. The plants came to life, rapidly growing onto his screaming face and piercing the skin with toxic thorns. Pamela laughed. Poison ivy was back. Poisonous intent, 2 out of 2. After being given an overdose of Titan by the Joker, Poison Ivy was left to die in her airtight cell by Warden Sharp, who blamed her for a mass destruction of Arkham Asylum. Island, which, you know what, kind of makes sense. As her health declined, yes, she prayed for salvation. It came from a priest who was unknowingly covered in pollen from the trees near his church. As she performed the latest rites, Ivy manipulated the pollen into an antidote that worked in harmony with the unique natural toxins in her blood. And to the amazement of the priest, she began a full recovery. Jesus Christ. Furious, Warden Sharp locked her in the biological containment unit and arranged her to be one of the first criminals to be sent to Arkham City. Dang. Election time. I still have a little bit of time to read this one. Quincy Sharp claimed to have been instrumental in stopping the riots at Arkham Asylum, stirring a tide of public admiration throughout his memorial campaign. Sharp repeatedly told voters that he would never allow their safety to be threatened by criminal scum. His victory was assured when he announced that he would create a new high-security prison that would forever separate the good people of Gotham City from the bad. Once elected, his first moves was to put the relatively unknown psychiatrist Professor Hugo Strange in charge of the whole facility. Not bad. The Rat Catcher. Otis Flanagan, I think, aka the Rat Catcher, looked out through the cellar window of the opening day of Arkham City. He had kept out of trouble so far, but he would need a plan to survive. Arkham City claimed to be escape-proof, and the Penguin had the illicit goods markets sewn up. Jesus Christ, I cannot speak. So Ratcatcher would sell small comforts, fine soap, bath mints, breath mints, extra buttons. He sent his rats out to collect such items from the outside world. It worked. Business was brisk and he felt safe until Penguin came looking for his rival vendor. Flanagan was dragged screaming through the streets of Arkham City, followed by a trail of rats into the museum, and never to be seen again. Holy crap. Now I want to know what happened. Alright. A new Robin. Richard Dick Grayson was the youngest in the family of acrobats known as the Flying Graysons. Their death-defying act was all that kept the circus where they performed in business. As the people of Gotham clamored for tickets to the show, a mob came looking for their cuts. After the circus owner refused them, the mobsters killed Dick's parents during a packed performance attended by Bruce Wayne. Wanting to protect the devastated orphan, Bruce took Dick under his wing and became his legal guardian, eventually entrusting the boy with his greatest secret. Desperate to help his friend and mentor, Dick trained hard to become Robin, patrolling Gotham at Batman's side. Now an adult, Dick fights crime on his own as the vigilante called Nightwing. Scarecrow. No one has seen Jonathan Crane, aka Scarecrow, since he was attacked by Killer Croc in the sewers below Arkham Asylum. Some say he escaped certain death by dragging what was left of himself onto a tiny container and floating out to sea, while others believe he was eaten by Croc. Undeterred, Batman has spent months searching for Crane, refusing to believe that he is dead. If Crane is still out there plotting his revenge on Batman, then Batman knows Gotham will never be truly safe. Buried on a Sunday. 1 out of 2. Oh boy. On a dark and stormy night in the late 19th century, a merchant named Cyrus Gold, I believe, was murdered and dumped into the swamps near the emerging Gotham City. As his body sunk into the pit, it was exposed to an unusual chemical in the swamp, which miraculously reanimated the merchant. He sent out warding the streets of old Gotham, unable to remember his name, and the only thing recited the nursery rhyme Solomon Grundy. Seemingly able to cheat death, the undead man, now called Solomon Grundy, was captured and ruthlessly experimented on. Determined to discover what had brought Grundy back to life, it became apparent that the creature was now immortal due to a combination of the swamp chemicals and a storm that raged on the night of his death. I think this might be the last one. Buried on a Sunday, 2 out of 2. As the army moved through the condemned Wonder City searching for smugglers, no one expected what lay in Ra's al Ghul's private medical laboratory. For months, Solomon Grundy had been exposed to a Lazarus chemical and then repeatedly electrocuted. He had died dozens of times, but each time he was brought back was for more. While the soldiers debated what he even was, Grundy revived again and killed everyone nearby. Mentally broken by his ordeal, he waited in the lab for the doctors to return and murder him again. Huh. Well, that just made me realize something. The so-called chemicals that the swamp was emitting might have actually been the Lazarus Pit, because the Lazarus Pit are always there for like the longest time. So maybe some of it leaked out and went into the swamp, which through some harsh, weird chemicals made Grundy technically immortal, in a different type of immortal state that makes him lose his mental mind, unlike Ra's al Ghul, whose morals change drastically, including his personality, and some of his mental mind deteriorates in a sense that he becomes more ruthless. Anywho, for one thing, I'm running out of time, and for another thing, my throat is killing me right now. So this is where I'm gonna have to stop for the moment, and then I will come back and finish off the thing. Sadly, of course, it's gonna be shorter, but it might be interesting. So, for anyone lucky enough to even listen to any of these, I suggest that you listen to the next episode, which will be the continuation of the Arkham City stories. Now then, without further ado, thank you everyone for joining me, and I will see you all in the next episode. Goodbye.